Hi everyone, my name is Beth Brown and I am counsel in the pensions group at Mayer Brown. Welcome to this episode. In these episodes, we cover different topics each month, providing an overview of the issues faced by pension industry practitioners and offering some practical insight. The time spent listening to these episodes can count towards solicitors' continuing competence and PMI CPD requirements. All the episodes are available on our Mayer Brown YouTube channel, as well as iTunes, Google Play and Yahoo. You can also subscribe to this channel so that new episodes are shown automatically in your subscriptions feed. Hi everybody. Continuing the running theme of the Pension Schemes Act, this month I will talk about the proposed changes to the statutory transfer rights. You will likely recall that the Pension Schemes Act 2021 seeks to minimise pension scams. It's long been recognised that sometimes trustees are in a difficult position because, at the end of the day, if a member has a right to a statutory transfer, it has to be paid. The Act shifts the position slightly, as now trustees will be prevented from making a statutory transfer unless certain conditions are met. This is in addition to the recent measures already introduced, for example, the requirement that a member must obtain independent financial advice if he or she is transferring DB benefits of $30,000 or more. The detail of the new transfer conditions is set out in regulations. These draft regulations have now been published and are being consulted on. The consultation closes on the 10th of June. The draft regulations set out 4 conditions. In order for a statutory transfer to proceed, at least one condition must be met. The first condition is that the transfer is to A public service pension scheme established by the Public Service Pensions Act 2013, B, an authorised master trust, C, an authorised collective money purchase scheme, or D, a personal pension provider authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, more commonly referred to as the FCA, that is an insurer authorised by the Prudential Regulatory Authority or within the same corporate group as such an insurer. The idea behind this being that these are fairly typical and safe pension arrangements. The second condition is that the transfer is to a UK occupational pension scheme and the member can demonstrate an employment link with the receiving scheme. The employment link can be demonstrated by the provision of prescribed evidence that, for example, contributions have been paid into the scheme by the member and their employer, as well as evidence of employment earnings from the receiving scheme sponsor and employer. The third condition is that the transfer is to a qualifying recognised overseas pension scheme, or what is often called CUROPS, and the member can demonstrate either an employment link, along the lines I just talked about, or a residency link. The residency link must be demonstrated by evidence from the member that they have been resident in the same financial jurisdiction as the CUROPS for at least 6 months. If the member cannot provide evidence to demonstrate an employment or residency link, there is no right to the statutory transfer. The fourth condition, which applies to all other transfers, focuses on prescribed red flags and amber flags. So taking the red flags first, red flags include where the trustee has reasonable belief that financial advice has been provided by firms without the appropriate regulatory permissions, the member has been contacted unsolicited, the member was offered incentives to transfer or the classic promise early access to their pension before their normal pension age, or the member is being pressured to complete the transfer really quickly. If there are any red flags, any at all, the trustee will be able to prevent a statutory transfer from proceeding. Turning now to amber flags, these include if the receiving scheme has high risk, unregulated or unorthodox investments, if there are high or unclear fees being charged by the receiving scheme, or the receiving scheme has advisors based overseas, as well as if there's been a particularly high volume of transfers to a single receiving scheme or involving a single advisor. If there are any amber flags, the transfer can proceed, but only if the member has taken the required scams guidance from the Money and Pension Service. Now, it's really important to note here that this is not the same as the guidance that's already available through PensionsWise, but it will be guidance that's specific to the dangers of scams and the methods used by scammers. Where there are no red or amber flags, a transfer can proceed. The final point to note is that the government intends to introduce the regulations in autumn this year, and it is expected that the pensions regulator will issue accompanying guidance. I think all trustees and members will want to minimise pension scams and reduce the risk that savings for retirement are lost. These regulations seek to provide additional protections whilst not imposing unmanageable obligations on trustees or members, so I suspect they will be welcomed by most. Thank you for listening. This episode is an overview of the law in this area, and how the law will apply in any particular case will depend on the individual circumstances. Please therefore remember to seek legal advice on your particular circumstances.